everybody, and welcome back to the Up Zone, where understanding politics is made simple. We are your two hosts, Mr. Elmer Floyd, former House Representative for the 43rd District of the state of North Carolina, and myself, Tisha Waddell, former City Council member for the 3rd District in the city of Fayetteville. Good morning, Mr. Floyd.
Good morning, Chase. Good morning. Good morning. How are things going with you?
Things are phenomenal. I cannot complain. I'm finally getting some of the to-do lists checked off around my house, and the weather's cooling off, so that helps business-wise. We were talking about that last week.
It does. I mean, the weather really is helping me because it's 49 degrees, and my creditors, their electronic system may not be operating.
They just too cold. The systems are
Too
too
cold.
cold. Just too
So it's
cold.
49 degrees. So I'm thankful for that.
Absolutely. Mr. Floyd, we are getting ready to just transition right into voting season. We've been talking about it for a while. Do you have any announcements for our audience?
Well, today starts early voting, and with the emails, Tish, you'd be surprised of the emails in which we receive, from the various wherever they come from.
Yeah. Do you
And
mind if I throw the one up that you shared with me?
good,
Okay, let me put that one up and we'll talk about it. You go ahead and you
yeah,
tell the people what they're getting ready to see.
I mean, it's just amazing some of the emails. Some of the emails we get, it's just, can you tell me who you're gonna vote for? Can you imagine
Isn't
somebody
that
sending me,
crazy, Mr. Floyd? That is so crazy. Like, who are you to ask me this question?
yeah, who are you gonna vote for? I mean, I look at these emails and I get about 80. I average about 200. I'm sorry, about 100 emails a day.
Okay.
That's on the average day, and and one I got this morning, and well, this was the one that was in City View, and it announced that election starts today. Okay, which is early voting, and former President Clinton is going to be in Fayetteville Friday and Saturday. That's what email one. I mean, that was in the City
This
View.
was the email. This the email you got. So
No,
this is
that
the
was
one
in
that
City
says
View.
join
That's
NC women. Okay.
That's City View. Now the
Okay.
other email I got was from the Democrat Party, which said, "John the North Carolina women, military and veteran for campus."
Right.
That's why, when you look at the conversation now, on why the both males and African American males is somewhat frustrated.
Right.
Mind you, now in City View, it did not include no discrimination against you, Miss Waddell, women.
Right.
But the Democrat Party said, John, North Carolina women, veterans, and military families. So you are constantly excluding the male from the process.
Right.
And many males, and I talk with, I'm sorry, Tish, but some of the environment I go in, so you don't go into the thrift stores, the Salvation Army, Lowe's, and all these places. That's below your standard. And
Right.
and talking with some of these people, they are somewhat frustrated with being omitted, but you want to admit me, at the poll.
Right.
You want them to cast a ballot, but when you look at the overall statistics, when an African American go into polls from October the 17th to November the 2nd, they are sure that over 90% are going to ask the question, are they Democrat or are they Republican?
Right.
And they are going to vote a ticket um, and walk out, and you can automatically count that vote.
Right.
Roughly, because in many instances, we don't look at who can provide us the services and the resources that we need.
Right.
We
Now,
go
this,
in and
go
vote
ahead.
who we like. We go in there and vote for who we like. That's it.
Absolutely. And Mr. Floyd, you said something just now, and it made me think about some of the things that I was seeing on like YouTube over the weekend. I mean, over this week. and that is that Black men were reprimanded by former President Barack Obama about their lack of support for Vice President Kamala Harris for her presidency campaign. So, do you think that these are some of the reasons that Black men are like, we don't have a
We,
whole
we,
lot to give
we,
right now?
she's been talking with a lot of black men. They have been excluded, you know.
Hmm.
For instance, this is football season, whether we like it. I mean, this is
Absolutely.
football season. Two of the biggest events in our state take place. One was North Carolina Central and A&T had their rival. Okay, that was last month. Uh,
Yeah.
okay, now Fayetteville State and Elizabeth City had a rival for the for 27 years.
Hmm.
Those two events took place on the same day.
Right.
Now, Ever who was advising the Harris campaign, that was an ideal place for
To
their
be.
campaign to
Yeah.
be because they would have had between 30 and 40,000 African Americans at those two locations, which were just 72 miles apart.
Right.
So if you don't understand, although they went to Greensville, but they still didn't go in the Rocky Mount Tarboro area, you know, and Kansas.
Right.
So what I'm simply saying is that they have excluded the African American male because I said to you on program back, I hate to go to a program and you say that I am the first African American female.
Hmm.
I mean, you know, uh, unfortunately, I can read and I see your name on the program, as I said to you before. So I don't need for you to elaborate to me, and I see who you are, that you have to emphasize that.
So let me ask you this question. Do you think that the same holds true for when people say, I'm the first Black, yada, yada, yada?
It's not it's not necessary to I mean,
Because
because we
we can
all
see that.
voted for you. We all
Okay.
voted for you. I mean, not what I mean by all.
Is
People
that
voted for you.
different? I got you. Yeah, that
Yeah,
makes sense.
we voted for you. So I don't need to hear that, you know. And it's very frustrating when you hear that, and I'm an African American male.
Right.
And other African Americans feel frustrated also. But you want me to vote. I don't have, I mean, what the former president said, it didn't intimidate me because it's who vote. It's
Right.
Floyd vote.
Right.
It's not Wadia vote. It's
Right.
Floyd vote. So I'm not
Right.
intimidated. I'm not intimidated by any person because it's my vote.
Are you experiencing any of these conversations because you are the target audience that they're talking about who has been disenfranchised at this point and who they say is not engaged, not you necessarily, but your demographic. Are you
Well,
experiencing any of these conversations and what are you hearing?
with the place to see now, I go to the grassroots places. I can't afford to go to the Red Lobster and all them places. I don't have the financial resources to go there and sit down and eat and be placed on the outside wall at Red Lobster. And so I have to stop by McDonald's and get me a senior cup of coffee. So those are the people, as I mentioned to you earlier on the program, who stops by the Salvation Army, the Goodwill store, that goes to Lowe's and buy parts to repair their homes, and the AutoZone that fix their own cars. They can't go to the dealership and drive in and leave it, and catch an Uber back home.
Right.
I talk with those kinds of people who are struggling, who, and just like yesterday, it showed one African American lady that had 7 children. Both her and her husband worked, both. And she was at the food pantry. And she mentioned that her grocery bill before was $1,000 a month to feed her family.
Hmm.
Today, it's $1,500. So how can you reduce? This is what I'm looking at. You know how how can you curb the inflation?
Right.
I mean, so my grocery bill went up 50, 50. Well, might would say 500%. And so
Yeah.
people are struggling, and then again, teacher, I don't want to do a lot of talking. It does. If Harrison, Trump, Robinson, or Stein, if they don't have the down ticket, and if we don't have the courts on our side, you know,
They're ineffective.
so all that you say that you want to do, there's a limit because you have to. You cannot, as a president, as a governor, you cannot introduce bills into a chamber.
Right.
You're gonna have to have someone introduce that bill, and you're gonna have to look at making sure that you can get those bills through the proper channel. I mean,
Right.
chamber, and
So
that's the
what
key.
I think I hear you saying is that the most pressing issue facing the voters that you're talking to is their economic standing.
That I mean, that's what well they talking about that, but when they go to the poll, you know, it's
They
different.
vote emotion.
They vote on who they like. I mean, they are they concerned? Yes,
Right.
but the outcome of it is you know. I say to everyone, I'm not gonna pay you teach to discriminate against me.
Right.
I'm not gonna do that. I mean,
Right.
you know, I can't I can't wholeheartedly do that.
Absolutely.
I can't.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Floyd, as we are looking, let's go back to the announcements because there was one more thing that you mentioned while we were doing prep, and that was there's an event coming up for an endowment. You want to share that with our
Well,
audience?
Representative Lucas, who is retiring, is going to look at establishing an endowment at Fayetteville State, and that's on November the 9th from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. That's p.m. And if you are available, stop by and support Representative Lucas endowment that he wants to take place. I mean, at Fayetteville State, he's a graduate, at Fayetteville State.
Mm-hmm.
So, so again, if you're in the area, you know, do that. And it's an overdose. I believe. Well, I'm not saying put it like this, Jatish. That's the day that he's having it. So I don't know just how the invite is taking place.
Right.
But I'm
You don't know
sure,
if it's an open door or not.
yeah. But I'm sure any wise person
Would
would
have an
have to
open door.
overdo it.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
you want to raise funds, for your endowment there. So I don't know what the magic number is to get the endowment started, but you know, I think it's you know, it's worthwhile. But if we can go back to voting, it
Hmm.
starts today. There's 8 polling sites, and the unique thing about that, there's 3 Saturdays, and the last Saturday, is November the 2nd, which is from 8 to 3.
Hmm. So, like the article says, as the final sprint in North Carolina election gets underway, early voting does start this morning. Former President Bill Clinton is scheduled to headline Democrat events Friday and Saturday for Vice President Kamala Harris, which is interesting, Mr. Floyd, because I heard somebody say while her message continues to be that we will not go back, she continues to pull from back in order to help her move forward, which is very interesting because a lot of people are making that comparison and saying, you really don't have a lot of momentum on your own, and it's showing, which is interesting because she started off with a groundswell of momentum, Mr. Floyd. They raised so much money, and they continue, I think, to be outraising the Republican Party. They raised so much money and they are really pushing. But it's interesting to see that now she's having to go and pull from the charismatic members of the Democratic Party to put them out front to really push her bid for presidency. It also tells us that Donald Trump Jr. And others have an event in Robeson County, about 30 miles southwest of Fayetteville, and that is, of course, Donald Trump's eldest son, and that's scheduled for
That's in Red Springs, man.
that. Say that
In,
again.
in West Red Springs, right
Okay.
outside of Lumberton.
Okay. And you can go to City View today and click on those links to find out more information about those events. They're also letting us know that our voting and testing machines are ready to go, giving us some information about that so that we can kind of put our minds at ease about how all of that is handled. So if you're interested, again, go over to City View today and take a look at their article about this. But back to your point about early voting, there are 8 sites in Cumberland County that will run through Thursday, November the 2nd. If you're not registered to vote in Cumberland County, or if you need to update your voter registration, you can do so at these voting sites. Voter registration is not done on November the 5th, which is election day. You cannot update your voter registration or register to vote on election day. Here are your
Let me
hours.
say,
Go ahead.
let me say this to you. What many people perceive is that the early voting site is their precinct election site.
Hmm.
Okay, is that sometimes it is and sometimes it is not.
Well,
So
here's the locations. We've got the location. So we've got East Regional Library, and you can go to any of these, right, Mr. Floyd?
you can go to any of these locations, but the point that I was trying to bring out is many people think that these sites are open on election day.
And
If
they
they are really polling site, then yes. But the best way to do that is to go early, just in case there's some confusion and you will have travel time to get to your polling site.
because inevitably, Mr. Floyd, we always see this person pull up at the wrong site. Can I vote here? I went in there and they said I couldn't vote in here. Where do I need to go? And we have to get online. You'll see this all the time. You'll see
Mhm.
poll workers getting online to look and see where they need to actually go. So you are absolutely, it's so good that you bring that up. Early voting locations are East Regional Library, Cliffdale Rec Center, College Lakes Rec Center, J.D. Pone Rec Center, Kiwanis Rec Center, Smith Rec Center, Spring Lake Rec Center, Stony Point Rec Center. You can go
Now,
to
they can go to any of those sites that starts, remember that 8:30, 8 o'clock in the morning to 7 p.m.,
7:30 p.m.
7:32.
Hmm.
Now, if you get there at 7:29, you still can vote because you're in line, but they know where to cut the 7:30 line off at. And
Hmm.
so, although you in line after 7:30, but they have already figured you into the number. But those that come at 7:31 will be
Will
turned,
not be. That's right.
will be turned around. So I encourage individuals to look at each candidate, and I say to you again, two things I made. If they're Amazon, look at them. And then another thing too that we fail to mention in there is that many conversation with grassroots males is that many times is that when our females begin to accelerate into corporate America, they tend to develop blended families. So that was, some comments that I heard.
So, and more specifically, like if you look at Kamala Harris and you look at Ketanji Jackson Brown, is it Ketanji Brown Jackson or Ketanji Jackson Brown?
I think what is it, Brown?
But I know I've got them,
Yeah,
but I might have
yeah.
them imposed with each other. But if
Mhm.
you look at both of them, they both have white husbands, and I think that that has been a conversation, particularly in the Black community. Not only that, and the question is kind of like, is there, like Cat Williams said, there's a starter pack for these comedians in Hollywood. Is there a starter pack for Black female politicians that you have to go get your white husband in order to arrive at these highest positions of power in our nation? And the question begs to be answered also. We keep hearing this narrative, and it's almost, Mr. Floyd, like being Black is synonymous with being broke or being having less than. And that's just not everybody's story. But we see these narratives. We saw it from former President Barack Obama. We see it coming from Vice President Kamala Harris. This narrative of my parents were hard workers that were middle class, when the reality is they both come from very affluent families. And so it's this idea now that's being discussed in the Black community. Why do you have to sell us this false narrative of your blackness? Why can't you just sell me you as the best candidate? Because, like you said, Floyd, I
Mhm.
can look at you and infer what I think you might be.
Well, I mean, those are just some of the conversations that that I've heard. And then
Mhm.
again, I know you want to move on. Is that of the the grassroots feel that the Democrat Party is becoming a party of the academia.
And not of the hardworking man and woman.
Yes, so that was just some of the conversation that I've heard over the last several months. And
Right.
then again, is that not a lot of campaign has been done in the African American community, and I guess if you was a pollist, you would say, "Why did I need to canvass in your area when I already know how you're going to vote?"
Right.
I
Now
can say
you did
that.
you
I can
did
say that for
mention
sure.
absolutely. You did mention that there are 3 Saturdays this time for early voting. So that's Saturday the 19th, Saturday the 26th, and November the 2nd, each from 8 to 3. And there's also one Sunday, which is going to be October the 20th. If you need more information, again, you can check out City View Today's article about this and get all the details that you need directly from there. Or you can head over to the Board of Elections website where you can also find this information. Mr.
And if you
Floyd,
can, and if you please, if you request an absentee ballot, if you can crawl it to to one of the 8 polling sites, do that.
mm-hmm,
I ask you, don't depend on the U.S. mail to get your voter absentee ballot in by 7:30 on the last day of it, of the voting process. It's
mm-hmm.
not guaranteed because it must be at the polling site by 7:30, meaning the election over by 7:30 on the day of election.
Right.
Don't trust
And
the U.S.
no
mail.
ifs, ands, or buts.
No, no, no.
No ifs, ands, or buts. Mr. Floyd, we both encountered a very interesting article over the last couple of days. I
Mhm.
chuckled because we have been the victim of this type of crime, okay? But we just weren't as fortunate as the victims in this particular incident. A candidate for North Carolina House was arrested for stealing campaign signs. Mr. Floyd, let's just be very transparent. When you've put your signs up, have they disappeared?
Yes,
Me too.
yes,
Now,
yes.
I've never my campaign was always staffed by my inner circle, like my family and my friends. We have never taken anybody's signs. In fact, when we would be out putting our signs up, if our opponent's signs had fallen down, we would pick them up and re-put them in the ground where
Mhm.
they had them because we just thought that that was the right thing to do. But Mr. Floyd, everybody ain't like that because I can remember getting a phone call with somebody telling me, I see somebody over here picking your signs up. And I said, well, let them get them. Let them have them.
The thing about G. Now I'm a little bit different than you. If the sign is on the ground,
You leave it on the ground.
I leave it on the ground because you got someone would say that Floyd took the sign up
Yeah,
and
yeah,
placed it on the ground. You see,
yeah.
so I don't bother with the sign. I
Leave
put
it
my
alone.
sign up and keep moving because I don't want nobody to say that I removed your sign to put my sign up. And listen,
Absolutely.
in this case here, this is a candidate that running for the a house seat that when they approach him, he did have the
Look,
sign.
the sheriff saw him.
He did have the sign, so he gave the signs up. But you
The
can
sheriff said he had to loop back around. And what are you doing?
you see, so there's something that you don't do, and we say that at each election, but some people don't believe it. But
Yeah.
this time, this person, can now believe it, and I hope it passes on to others that see
Baby,
individuals.
because it is illegal. It is not permitted.
Yeah.
It is prohibited by law, by threat of arrest. He was arrested. He was allowed to sign himself out.
Yes.
The signs were found inside of his vehicle, and he admitted to removing the signs, according to the press release by the sheriff's office.
Mhm.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was running to represent North Carolina House District 78.
Mhm.
And he's also the chair of the Democratic Party in Moore County. Make that make sense. You should know better, sir.
Yes, he should. He should have. But again, T, we think that we can do that now. Some people are going to, because of the money that's invested in the sign, might have some cameras around their signs, and take a
Because
nice.
okay, so Mr. Floyd, full transparency. After so many times of our signs being taken, we did put up deer cams because I was like,
Yes,
this is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These signs are not free,
yes, you
and
say you're right.
I have to keep buying them. And I'm glad you like them so much. You want to take one or 10 home with you, but
Mm.
come on now, give me a break.
Well, I will always have a problem with my sign disappearing on Ramsey Street.
Always there
Always.
and Murkison Road.
I will always have a, I will always have that problem. And one, we took a picture of a red truck, taking up, our signs.
Yeah.
So, but really, Don Davis and I, who is now running for the U.S. House in District 1, we passed we I was on the Senate side, I was on the House side. We passed a law wherein that after 30 days, which is after 30 days after the election,
Hmm.
any citizen can remove signs, that's on the highway, not individual personal property now, because that personal property is his property.
It's their
But it
property.
is
Yeah,
on
because
the
if you put a
roadway.
sign in front of my house, I can take it up because
Yes,
this is my property.
yes.
Yeah.
You must have permission. And then again, you can't put signs, that impede the right of way, wherein that it will have some adverse effect on the
And
person.
and the garbage people are allowed to take your signs up because they do if you have them in the wrong place.
Yes, yes.
So you
And
have to be very mindful to put your signs where they belong because the city does have the authority to be able to pick up your signs. And I know back in the day, I don't know what they do with them now, but I know back in the day they take them behind City Hall to a dumpster and leave them on the side of that dumpster. So if you want to come get them,
no,
you
they
can
didn't leave them on the side of the dumpster. They would throw them in the
in
dumpster.
the dumpster.
In the dumpster. Because I
It
had
used
gone
to
in
be
there.
that they would leave them on the side of the dumpster. They just started putting
No,
them in there.
they would throw them in the dumpster. And you would have to go in the dumpster and get your sign out.
Yeah, yeah,
And since they throw them away, and they was in there, they, they sort of like anybody's sign. So individuals would go there. These are some expensive sign racks. So I
yeah,
might as well teach why they're a sign rack and save me $2
yeah.
because it's no longer your sign.
Yeah. Do
Yes.
you have any more of your campaign signs left?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I see no more use in them
Yeah,
because
I'm pretty sure I threw all of them away. Once I was like, I'm done. I might have kept one just for nostalgia's sake, but I'm not 100% sure even about that.
no, because if you look at service, like in your case, and look at my case, my community is the only community. I'm sure there may be others wherein that individual come in and tell us how they want us to vote, and believe it, Tish, we do
Not us, them other
it.
people.
I mean,
Look,
how in
that's
the
why
world?
we're doing a podcast right now and they're still sitting in their seats because we said, I don't do business like that.
I mean, you think about it. A person bringing you 412 or $13 million,
Right.
and you unseat that person. You unseat that person that
Yeah.
brings you $412 million because the person say that someone else can best serve him,
Right.
and we vote the person out that bought you $412 million. Our community needs some antibiotics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. some serious antibiotics, Mr. Floyd, like the strong, strong ones.
Strong.
Speaking
I
of
mean,
speaking
if
of
I
antibiotics, I might need what we talked about with my daughter being bit by that dog and the assistance. I might need to reach back out to you about that.
okay,
Listen, people, let me tell y'all people something. If you have pets, I'm gonna need you to be responsible for your pets because some of us, well, never mind. I'm not gonna say that because Peter might come after me, but I'm gonna need you to be responsible for your pets, okay? If you have a dog, keep up with your dog because everybody is not playing with your dog. We don't all think Fido is friendly and fun. Some of us will view Fido as a threat and will handle it accordingly. So watch your pets. Mr. Floyd, on another note, on a lighter note, I guess maybe, Mark Robinson is suing CNN, the former pawn shop employee, for defamation. He has a $50 million lawsuit, which alleges that the 50 million lawsuit alleges about the Republican gubernatorial candidate's porn habit have inflicted. Let me start over, Floyd, because I botched
yeah,
that.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but
The
let me.
allegations are being refuted and he is suing for defamation. What are your thoughts about this?
Well, that's the beauty of democracy. If you think someone has, mistreated you, you have a right to take whatever action that you deem that's appropriate. And so the question of it is, but CNN said they stand by, and he indicated that he is going to look at it from his standpoint of view. So my thing of it is, you have a right if someone has mistreated you to take whatever action that you deem that's appropriate. Now, where it goes from here, that's another question.
And Robinson is represented by Jesse Banal, a Virginia based attorney who has represented Donald Trump, and Anthony Billinger of Envisage Law is also representing Robinson's wife in the State Department of Health and Human Services review of her nonprofit. On August 11th, Money's band Trailer Park Orchestra released a music video for the song The Lieutenant Governor Owes Me Money, in which Money cheekily alleges that Robinson stiffed him for a bootleg porn tape in 2004. Money told the Assembly in an article published on September 3rd that in the 1990s and early 2000s, Robinson was regular at the Greensboro porn shop where Money worked, watching videos there several nights a week after his shifts at a nearby Papa John's. 5 other men told the assembly they saw Robinson in those stores too. Robinson's campaign has categorically denied these claims and dismissed him as a freak show grifter in response to the assembly's questions. A Robinson spokesperson also called the assembly reporters degenerates.
Well, I mean, it's going. I mean, this is going to play out in court, so we would just have to wait and see how
Yeah,
the
I'm glad
court.
to see that. I'm glad to see that. I'm glad to see that he has filed action against CNN and again because I think Mr. Floyd. One of the things that I observed while in office is that a story can go forward, and oftentimes they will be believed without any benefit of the doubt. And I think that sometimes these lawsuits are necessary to show I am willing to provide my documentation, show me yours.
Well, one thing about in politics and on the Democrat side, we are good at this printing or publishing to say that John Doe is voting with the Republican 85% of the time, when
Absolutely.
most of our votes are
You're
bipartisan votes.
bipartisan. So everybody is voting with the
Yeah,
Republicans
but they're
85% of
singling
the
you
time.
out, and the people believe that you are voting with the Republican 85% of the time, which, come on,
Yeah,
they're bipartisan uh, vote. But the constituents on the other end believe that that's what you are doing because it was printed the way that the wording was printed. And
absolutely.
and if you look at it, if you look at it from a standpoint of view, if you're not in control, Keith, in politics, it's all about negotiation. You know, I can stand firm on a strong democratic principle and come back home and my community will still be flooded. But
Yeah.
it looked good now to my party, and my party don't care about my community being flooded. They simply want you to follow their agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we can see the outcome of this election to see if it has changed, and I doubt very seriously it
Yeah. So, what do you want to leave our people with? That's our agenda today.
will. Well, I just like to as we look at this, upcoming election which started today, look at it from a standpoint of view. Don't don't, as my friend Archie McMillan would say, don't let people razzle and dazzle you with a lot of he called it turkey garbage and cow pasture information about what they are going to do and what they are going to provide. I say to those individuals is that irregardless of who is elected, if they are not willing to work across party lines, then there's very little that they are going to provide for you as it relates to address whether or not waitresses will continue to get tips, whether or not it'll be taxed, whether Social Security will be taxed, whether we are going to reduce inflation and bring it down to a level, whether or not small businesses is going to be uplifted through whatever programs and projects that's there. And you have to look at it, Keith. If you do all of these things,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, Keith, the 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 unemployed won't be able to pay the taxes from whatever the funds are coming from. The middle class is going to bear the burden, although you are going to reduce our taxes. But the rich is going to pass the taxes back down to someone, and they are going to be the working class. You can't pass them down to the individual that's not working because they are not going to pay any taxes. So, irregardless, the adverse effect is going to be on the working class to pay the burden. And also, we are going to be help pay for us to continue to be the big brother and big sister of the global world. It's the middle class,
Mm-hmm.
the working class. So please, teach, please, when you go to the vote and the poll and vote, look at who can best serve you. Who can best serve you?
Mm-hmm.
And whether or not, I know you didn't ask for this, but it was just like two persons on the county board of commissioners, as an example, was able to convince the other five on the county board of commissioners, two, to spend $133+ million on a parking deck for a civic center.
Mm-hmm.
Those persons delivered on a 10-year goal. They delivered. They got five other people. And Miss Water, as we leave, we have been praying. We have been praying. We have been praying to get some economic development on Murchison Road when we are the majority on the county board of commission and the majority on the city council. Can
Mm-hmm.
you please help me?
I can't help you, but maybe they can. And I guess my closing words would be that I just want to tell everybody that I've been so convicted over the last week, because I have been way more focused on the politics that are going on in this season, and I've been neglecting to submit my concerns in prayer before the Lord. So I just want to tell everybody that I have repented of that. I want to admonish each of you and just really encourage each of you that even as you are concerned about what you think the future of our nation is, based upon politics, that you would use one of the strongest tools that you have in your arsenal, which is your weapon of prayer, and that you would submit your concerns to God in prayer and ask for His will to be done in this area. I think that that is the most influential thing that we have. I think people overemphasize our vote and underemphasize our prayer life. And I want to just take a moment to overemphasize the power of a good prayer life, and just to remind everybody of how important that is. I think that it's great that Mr. Floyd and I have been able to give you all of the information about when the polls are open, when you can go and vote. I do want to remind everybody that if you are not sure about the status of your voter registration, you do need to make your way on down to the Board of Election during early voting, so that you can clarify all of that. And I just woke up this morning with such a spirit of prayer for so many things in our nation and where our community is concerned. And I just hope that others will do the same. Mr. Floyd, that's all I have. You got any last words before we?
Vote,
And
vote,
that's
and vote.
and
One
that's
time now. One time. One time.
just one time. Don't do it three times. And I just ask that you like, share, subscribe, and follow. Tell a friend to tell a friend, and we will be sure to do our best to catch you on the next episode. Good show, Mr. Floyd.
All right. See,
All
thank you
right,
so
sir.
much.
Enjoy your day.
You also.
Okay, bye bye.